Hi Chingus, welcome to Your Voyage. We'd like to take a few minutes to help you get started so that you can get the most out of your voyage. And that includes understanding what your expectations should be, what's required of you, and then to do a quick overview of the development sprints that you'll be following, to define, create, and deploy your application. So with that, let's get started. So what can you expect to get out of a voyage? Well, the first thing is that you're going to stretch your boundaries. You're going to be placed outside of your comfort zone, which will do a lot to boost your what you know, your your general knowledge, and your experience. The second thing that you'll do is, just by virtue of the fact that you're working with other people, you're going to refine your hard skills, namely your technical skills, because you're going to see how other people do things differently. You're going to learn about new libraries and potentially frameworks that you haven't been familiar with before, that others are familiar with. The third thing you'll pick up is new soft skills. And for many of you, this will be brand new. Soft skills are things like how to plan a project, how to work with a project backlog, how to work in an agile methodology. It's all of those things that you need to know to work effectively in a team. And by the way, these are the skills that employers value. And then the last thing is you're going to expand your personal network. We really do believe that the team is not about a me, it's about a we. So the fact that you're working so closely with 2 to 3 other people on your voyage team will help you expand your personal network, and hopefully you'll make friends with these folks as well. During a voyage, you do have certain responsibilities that you have to fulfill. The number one thing that we find successful teams do is that they communicate. We can't stress this enough, that having daily interaction to let each other know what you're doing and what problems you may be encountering is absolutely critical to success. And with that comes the responsibility of being open and honest. We want to be respectful of each other and we want to be professional, but we also want to be very open about the things that we're experiencing and the problems that we see. You should not treat the voyage, your interactions with your teams, as win-lose situations. They should be win-win situations, even if you don't always get your way. The fourth thing that's very important is please don't ghost your team. The worst situation that we see is when a team member stops communicating and they just disappear. The teams typically come to a standstill at that point because they don't know if that individual has finished what they're working on. They don't know where they're at. They don't know when they'll resume working. There's just no information at all. So that's the worst situation. We do understand that things come up in everyone's life. If something comes up that you don't have as much time in one sprint as you do in others, just let your team know. Your team can plan around any special occurrence that's happening like this. And then the last thing, which is really implicit, is you need to work, think, and act as a team. Any successes or failures that you experience are successes and failures of the team, not of individuals. The next thing we're going to discuss are the sprints that make up your voyage. Voyages are divided into 6 one-week-long sprints, and what you do in each sprint is basically they are a self-contained iteration in which you design a set of features, you implement them, and you actually deploy them to production. So as the voyage progresses, your production application gets more and more features and more functionality until you reach sprint 6, at which point you're done. So sprint 1 is where you set the foundation of your project. It's where you meet your team and you learn each other's strengths and weaknesses. It's also where you need to spend some time understanding the Chingu Agile Methodology that's in docs.chingu.io. And this is not something you do individually as well. It's something you want to cover and discuss as a team. The third thing you'll do is you need to decide on what project do you want to create, and what is success going to look like. So our advice there is to start at a very, very high level. Don't think about individual screens per se. Think about features or major functions and features from a user point of view, and let that take you into more detailed views of things like screens and dialogues and buttons and all of that. And then the fourth thing is you want to decide on how your team will work. So this is really divided into a technical aspect and a non-technical aspect. For the technical aspect, you need to decide on your Git workflow. And again, if you go to docs.chingu.io, there's a fairly detailed section that describes what a Git workflow looks like. You are free to take the workflow we describe and tailor it to your needs, or you may choose to use it as it is. The non-technical aspect of this is you need to decide things like, well, how many meetings are you going to have a week for your team? And when will those meetings be scheduled? And how will you post status? And what will that status look like? You need to think about not just the technical things that your team will do, but also how your team will work together. All of this is absolutely critical because, again, it's the foundation. Everything you do from this point will be based on what you decide in Sprint 1. In Sprints 2 through 5, you'll be following the Chingu Agile Methodology very closely to build your application. In each sprint, you'll start out by planning the sprint and updating your product backlog. Next, you'll be having daily stand-ups and conducting your development work throughout the sprint to actually build the features that need to be completed by the end of that sprint. Now, as part of that, you'll be following both the Git workflow that you set up in Sprint 1, but also you'll be working as a team, and you'll be following the procedures that you laid out for how you'll do that in Sprint 1. At the end of each sprint, you'll actually deploy the application to production. So even though it may not have every feature you want at this point, you're going to deploy what you've created up to this point in time. And then finally, you'll review what was accomplished. You'll review the application. During this review, you'll detect errors. You'll also identify potentially how you want to modify features and functionality in the next sprint. And you'll want to reflect on what you did as a team and how you worked as a team. And you want to use that to change how you work in the following sprint. Now, one note is that because meetings are so hard to schedule, what a lot of teams have successfully done is they combine into one meeting the review and the reflection of what was done in the prior sprint with the planning for the upcoming sprint. So what we suggest there, if you're going to follow that approach, schedule that meeting for as early in each sprint as you can and devote the first half of the meeting to the review and the reflection of what was done in the prior sprint, and then the second half to the planning for what you're going to do in the current sprint. Sprint 6 follows exactly the same steps in the Chingu Agile Methodology as what you followed in Sprint 2 through 5. The difference is at the end of Sprint 6, you're going to have your fully functioning application completed, and it'll be time to celebrate your success. And in terms of celebration, we suggest that don't just celebrate in Sprint 6. As a team, you should be celebrating each other's successes, and you should be helping one another when your teammates need it all along the way. This isn't just something that happens in Sprint 6. We'll also suggest to keep an eye on your time and to watch out for technical debt. You need to fix bugs at the time you detect them rather than waiting till the end of the project, because even though you think that 6 weeks is a very, very long period of time at the start of the voyage, I guarantee you that by the end of the voyage, 6 weeks is going to seem like it just flew by. So this ends our introduction to the voyage process. We hope that you've learned a lot. We certainly hope that you'll be successful during the voyage. And we want you to keep in mind that when you have questions or you need help or just advice, that's why we have the Discord community. Feel free to use those channels to reach out to both the Chingu team, but also others in the Chingu community who can give you their assistance. We also want you to remember 4 things. Work hard, stay focused and stay engaged, have fun, and do great things. You're going to be successful if you follow these recommendations. And we certainly want everyone to learn a lot, build your expertise and your experience, and have a great time. Thanks.